Friends, beloved travelers on the road of this new year, we gather on this January morning with hope resting softly on our shoulders. Thursday, the 8th day, arrives like a clean page waiting for our better handwriting. And today we lift our voices with a simple yet mighty plea: God, clean my heart and my home. There are seasons in every life when unseen winds blow through our rooms and through our spirits. They leave dust upon our peace and shadows upon our joy. But prayer, powerful, faithful prayer, has always been the broom that sweeps away what does not belong to us. We stand as caretakers of sacred spaces. Our hearts are homes too. Our houses hold laughter, tears, dreams, and memories. When we ask the divine to remove negative energy, we are asking for light to be invited back to the table, for love to sit again by the doorway. Let this prayer be a song of renewal. Let it remind us that we deserve clean beginnings, purified thoughts, and homes filled with gentle grace. With courage and humility, we say together, Lord, make us new from the inside out. My dear friends, and all who listen with a yearning soul, we speak today of the first and greatest need, named in that humble title, the cleansing of the heart. For before a home can be made bright, before a doorway can feel like welcome and a window sing like freedom, the human spirit must be washed clean. The heart is the original house. It is the first dwelling place we are ever given, and it carries more furniture than any mansion on earth. Joy and sorrow sit side by side in that small, crowded room. Memories hang on the walls. Old pains hide in the corners like shy, stubborn children. When we ask, God, clean my heart, we are not making a weak request. Oh no, we are making a declaration of bravery. We are saying to the heavens that we have grown tired of living in cluttered emotions. We have become weary of sweeping around the same bitterness, tripping over the same regrets, polishing the same resentments until they shine like false silver. Spiritual cleansing is the courage to admit that some things within us no longer deserve a chair at our table. Each new day brings its own dust. Life has a way of leaving fingerprints on the finest intentions. A harsh word spoken in haste, a dream deferred once more, a disappointment we pretend did not matter. These settle gently upon the spirit, and if they remain unattended, they grow heavy. They make the heart dark and crowded. Negative energy is born first inside the human chest. It does not begin in the walls around us. It begins in the thoughts we repeat and the fears we refuse to release. But there is a powerful prayer rising through your title, like a river determined to reach the sea. That prayer understands a holy truth. Only God can reach the deepest rooms of a person. We can paint our faces pleasant and still hide storms in our souls. We can arrange our houses neat and orderly and yet carry chaos in our hearts. Therefore, the wise soul begins with the inner work. Spiritual cleansing means opening every secret drawer to the light of the divine. To be cleansed is to be made honest. It asks us to look at ourselves with gentle eyes and truthful mirrors. We must recognize how long we have held on to what hurt us. Some of us have carried anger so faithfully it has begun to feel like family. We have nursed wounds until they learned our names. And still we wonder why peace will not stay long in our company. The answer is simple and severe. A clean heart is required for a peaceful life. The title calls this prayer powerful, because it seeks transformation, not decoration. It is easy enough to change our curtains, harder by far to change our character. When we invite God to remove negative energy, we are asking to be scrubbed of envy, rinsed of jealousy, emptied of needless suspicion. We are pleading to have the cobwebs taken from our faith. We are requesting that hope be allowed to breathe again. A cleansed heart becomes a strong heart. It learns to forgive. And forgiveness, my friends, is the sweetest soap ever placed in human hand. To forgive is not to pretend that wrong never happened. It is to refuse to let the wrong have the rest of our life. Spiritual cleansing involves laying down grudges the way a tired woman lays down a too heavy basket. The moment we release them, we stand taller. We walk lighter. The air around our spirit grows fresh and possible. And what of fear? Fear is a noisy tenant. It rattles the windows of the heart and slams the doors of opportunity. Many people live their whole lives never realizing how frightened they have been. This prayer asks for that trembling energy to be escorted out. To be spiritually cleansed is to trust more than we tremble. It is to believe that God has not brought us this far to abandon us in mess and misery. Inner cleansing also means discipline of thought. The mind feeds the heart daily. If we consume only worry, the heart becomes weak. If we swallow only complaint, the spirit turns sour. The prayer in your title is a call to choose better nourishment. Clean thoughts make clean hearts. Kind reflections create peaceful spirits. When God cleans the heart, He teaches us to speak to ourselves with encouragement instead of insult. There is music in a purified spirit. A clean heart can hear it. It recognizes blessings that a burdened soul would overlook. Spiritual cleansing sharpens gratitude. It reminds us to say thank you for ordinary miracles, the roof that holds, the children who grow, the work that waits, the breath that returns faithfully each morning. Negative energy cannot survive long in the warm climate of Thanksgiving. This 8th day of January, this Thursday standing at the gate of a young year, is a perfect moment for such cleansing. The calendar note in your title is more than information. It is invitation. It suggests intention. Begin here, it whispers. Start now. Do not wait for another season to ask God to make you new. A powerful prayer does not require fancy language. It requires a sincere heart ready to be changed. When the heart is cleansed, love moves in more fully. Patience hangs its coat by the door. Understanding fluffs the pillows. Compassion sets flowers on the inner windowsill. And suddenly the person you are becomes a safer neighborhood for everyone you meet. Spiritual cleansing blesses not only the individual but the whole community of their life. So let us understand this key point plainly and beautifully. To clean the heart is to prepare for every other blessing. A home cleaned by prayer must be preceded by a spirit cleaned by grace. The title begins with the heart because the heart is where God does His finest housekeeping. And once He has swept and washed and polished that precious inner room, no form of negative energy can claim ownership there again. May we continue to pray that ancient and everlasting request, Lord, clean my heart. Make it spacious for joy, sturdy for trials, gentle for strangers, and strong for the days ahead. For a clean heart is the truest beginning of a clean life, and that, dear friends, is power enough for any Thursday on this blessed earth. My dear friends and gentle readers who desire peace more than noise, we turn our attention now to the second promise resting inside your title, the renewal of the home. After the heart has spoken its brave prayer for cleansing, the house itself begins to stir like a sleepy bird welcoming dawn. A home is not merely brick and plaster, not only beams nailed together and floors laid flat. A true home is a living witness. It watches us rise in the morning and collapse at night. It keeps our secrets better than any locked diary. It holds the echo of every argument and the fragrance of every celebration. And because it carries so much of our living, it must from time to time be invited to live again. When your title says, God, clean my heart and my home, it understands that the physical space around us needs attention as surely as the spirit within us. Too often we forget that we are stewards of the places we inhabit. We imagine that if we simply pay the rent and mend the roof, we have done all that is required. But renewal asks for more. Household renewal is the sacred act of making our everyday surroundings worthy of our everyday dreams. Life can be hard on a house. Children run through hallways leaving their bright disorder. Work follows us inside the door and spreads papers across the kitchen table. Worry creeps in and sits heavily on the sofa. Without noticing, we allow rooms to become tired. Curtains grow dull with neglected days. Corners fill with objects we meant to give away, boxes we planned to open, projects we promised to finish someday. And all that unfinished intention creates an atmosphere that feels restless and worn. Household renewal begins with awareness. It requires us to stand in the middle of our own living room and truly see it again. Not as it appeared when we first moved in, full of excitement, but as it is now, carrying the weight of our real lives. To renew the home is to say, this place matters. It is to honor the fact that our houses protect our bodies while our faith protects our souls. Negative energy often hides in ordinary forms. It disguises itself as clutter, as confusion, as the simple untidiness of hurried living. Renewal means sweeping out what has gathered too long. It is opening windows on a Thursday morning and letting fresh January air rush in like a choir of clean voices. It is washing the sheets, scrubbing the steps, straightening the shelves, and in that simple labor declaring that peace is welcome here. There is dignity in caring for one's home. My mother taught me that lesson without ever making a speech about it. She polished our small rooms as though they were palaces. She believed that order in the house helped create order in the life. Household renewal carries that same wisdom. When we treat our homes kindly, they begin to treat us kindly in return. The title calls this prayer powerful because it invites God into the most practical parts of our existence. Imagine the miracle of the divine walking through your hallway, touching the walls you touch, blessing the chairs where your family sits. Renewal is more than cleaning for company. It is cleaning for conscience. It is arranging our surroundings so that when we enter them we feel lifted instead of lowered. To renew a household is also to renew relationships. Homes are theaters where families perform the drama of daily life. Old misunderstandings can cling to a house like stubborn smoke. A room remembers when voices were raised and doors were slammed. Therefore, household renewal must include emotional housekeeping as well. It means speaking kinder words beneath the roof that shelters us. It means turning the dining table back into a place of conversation instead of complaint. Thursday, January 8th stands in your title like a small golden bell reminding us that time offers chances for change. The start of a year is a fine season to look at the nest we have built and make it new again. Perhaps renewal is repainting a wall that has grown weary. Perhaps it is repairing a broken gate or finally clearing the crowded attic. Whatever form it takes, it is the joyful decision to care. Our homes should be allies in our living. They ought to feel like refuge from the loud world outside. Yet many people dwell in houses that have become strangers to them. They move through rooms filled with objects instead of peace. Household renewal calls us back to the original purpose of a home, to provide rest, safety, comfort, and a small corner of the earth where love can practice its manners. Prayer can transform a house the way sunlight transforms a garden. When we ask God to remove negative energy from our homes, we are asking for harmony to be restored. We are inviting protection to stand guard at the doorway. Renewal means sprinkling the rooms with gratitude, filling them with music, laughter, faith, and gentle intention. Every house, large or small, can be renewed. It does not require wealth. It requires willingness. A single candle lit with hope can change the feeling of an entire room. A clean doorway can feel like open arms. A renewed home becomes a cradle for renewed dreams. Household renewal teaches us responsibility. It reminds us that we cannot demand peace in spaces we refuse to care for. We must participate in the blessing we seek. Clean the porch, tend the garden, make the bed, say the prayer. These simple acts join hands with heaven and create a powerful partnership. And let us not forget beauty. Renewal includes placing something lovely where something lifeless once stood. A vase of flowers, a framed photograph, a shelf of well-kept books. These are small hymns sung by the household. They push back shadows and tell negative energy it has overstayed its welcome. When the home is renewed, the people inside it feel renewed as well. We walk through cleaner rooms with calmer spirits. We sit down to rest without the nagging guilt of disorder whispering in our ears. Household renewal is a gift we give ourselves and our families. It is the physical expression of a spiritual desire. So friends, your second key point stands tall and necessary. Care for the house that cares for you. Let Thursday be the day you begin. Let January be the season you decide that your home will once more feel like a blessing. Invite God into every room. Ask for renewal, then take up the broom of action and help make the miracle real. For when a household is renewed by prayer and purpose, it becomes more than a shelter. It becomes a sanctuary. And a sanctuary filled with light has no space left for negative energy, only room enough for love to live and thrive. My dear friends, and all the blessed souls who pause to consider the invisible strength that moves the world, we come now to the third truth shining gently inside your title, the undeniable power of prayer. Prayer is an ancient language, older than governments and greater than grief. Long before humankind learned to write laws on paper, men and women learned to write their hopes upon the sky. They folded their hands, bowed their heads, and discovered that a whispered plea could become a thunderous force. The power of prayer does not rest in volume. It lives in sincerity. A single honest sentence offered to God can travel farther than 1,000 anxious thoughts. When your title calls this a powerful prayer to remove negative energy, it is acknowledging that prayer has always been the key that opens locked doors. It is the lamp that finds its way into darkened rooms. It is the strong, steady hand laid upon the shoulder of fear. Many people wander through life carrying burdens they were never meant to hold. They imagine they must fight every battle alone. But prayer teaches a different lesson. It reminds us that we are not solitary creatures abandoned on a spinning planet. We are children of a listening God. The power of prayer begins the moment we recognize that heavenly companionship. Prayer changes the one who prays. That is its first miracle. Before circumstances shift and troubles bow their heads, the human heart begins to soften. The act of praying makes us still enough to hear ourselves. It gathers our scattered feelings like a shepherd gathering sheep. Negative energy thrives in confusion, but it trembles in the presence of focused faith. There is also power in routine prayer. Your title wisely names a particular day, January 8, Thursday, as though it were setting an appointment with grace. When we choose a time to pray intentionally, we build a bridge between heaven and home. The power of prayer grows when it becomes a daily visitor, instead of an occasional stranger. Throughout history, prayer has lifted nations and rescued individuals. It has comforted the lonely widow and strengthened the tired laborer. It has walked beside prisoners in narrow cells and stood with kings in wide cathedrals. Prayer has no social rank. It belongs equally to rich and poor, to the educated scholar and the simple child. And still its power remains fresh as morning bread. The title suggests removing negative energy because prayer has authority over what cannot be seen. We may not touch despair with our hands, but we can surely touch it with our prayers. Words spoken to God are not empty sounds, they are seeds planted in spiritual soil. And every seed knows how to grow when watered with belief. The power of prayer also rests in humility. To pray is to admit need. It is to say, I require help greater than myself. Humility is not defeat, it is doorway. When we bow before God asking for cleansing and protection, we stand up renewed with a quiet strength that surprises even us. Negative energy cannot long survive in a life guarded by humble prayer. Prayer invites light. And light, my friends, is the greatest enemy of darkness. A house may be full of lamps, but a life without prayer can still feel shadowed. The power of prayer is like turning on every inner chandelier at once. It allows peace to walk in and sit down comfortably. Some imagine that prayer is only comfort, only consolation for the weak. But those who truly know it understand that prayer is also action. It stirs courage. It awakens wisdom. It guides decision. The power of prayer helps us choose better paths and kinder responses. Often what we call negative energy is simply a lack of direction, and prayer provides that blessed compass. There is communal power in prayer as well. When families pray together, homes breathe easier. When communities lift their voices in shared faith, hope grows public and visible. Your title is not only a private request, it is a collective invitation. It asks all who read it to recognize that the power of prayer multiplies when hearts join hands. Prayer has the power to heal memories. Old experiences that ache like arthritic bones can be soothed by steady, faithful conversation with God. The power of prayer allows us to release yesterday's pains so they do not poison today's possibilities. Negative energy is often recycled hurt, and prayer is the blessed recycling plant that turns it into forgiveness. And let us speak honestly, prayer requires trust. We must believe that God is able to do what we cannot manage ourselves. The power of prayer grows sturdy in the warm sunlight of expectation. To expect good things from God is not arrogance, it is faith practicing its wings. Prayer brings protection. When we ask God to remove harmful influences from our lives and homes, we are placing spiritual locks upon our doors. The power of prayer stands like a mighty guard saying to negativity, "You may not enter here." It is the invisible fence built around the yard of our peace. There is emotional power in prayer. Anxiety can be lowered. Anger can be cooled. Confusion can be clarified. The power of prayer provides a safe place to pour out honest feelings without shame. God is never frightened by our truth. And speaking that truth in prayer drains negative energy the way a river drains a flooded field. Prayer also has the power to renew hope for the future. The start of a year often finds us uncertain. We wonder what the months will bring. But prayer allows us to walk into the unknown, holding the hand of the divine. The power of prayer gives us confidence that whatever arrives, we will not meet it alone. The prayer in your title is called powerful because it seeks comprehensive blessing, heart and home, inner life and outer surroundings. That is the wide authority of prayer. It reaches everywhere a person lives. It blesses every chair they sit upon and every thought they entertain. We must remember that prayer does not always change the world immediately. Sometimes it changes us so completely that we are able to change the world ourselves. That too is part of its power. A praying person becomes a stronger, calmer, kinder person. And kindness is a force greater than any bitterness. January 8th, Thursday, stands as a reminder that the power of prayer is available right now, not someday in a distant season. Begin where you are. Pray as you can. Trust as you must. The power of prayer requires only willingness and belief. So let us honor this third key point from your title with gratitude and reverence. Never underestimate what prayer can accomplish. It sweeps away negative energy. It invites positive grace. It strengthens the spirit and blesses the home. Prayer is the everlasting evidence that God still listens and love still answers. May every reader, and you especially friends, continue to discover that holy power again and again. For prayer is not merely words rising upward, it is strength raining gently down. And that gentle rain carries more power than any storm of negativity ever could. My dear friends, and all who walk through the rooms of their lives hoping for lighter footsteps, we speak now of the fourth blessing tucked tenderly inside your title, the removing of negative energy. It is a brave ambition. It is a hopeful house cleaning of the unseen. For energy, like water, takes the shape of whatever vessel holds it. If the vessel is crowded with dark expectation, the days feel narrow and unkind. But when we ask God to help us remove what weighs us down, we are inviting the possibility of joy to stretch out comfortably. Negative energy does not announce itself politely. It rarely knocks before entering. It slides in beneath ordinary troubles. It hides inside impatience, inside worry, inside the long faces we wear when we believe life has treated us unfairly. We carry it home from the marketplace and the workplace. We bring it in from crowded streets and difficult conversations, and without intending to, we allow that heavy atmosphere to sit beside us at supper and lie down with us at night. Your title names a powerful prayer because it recognizes that negativity must be actively evicted. Removing negative energy is not a passive act. It requires intention and faith working together like two good friends. We must decide that we deserve better climates within our hearts and within our homes. To be cleansed is to be set free, and freedom has always frightened every form of darkness. When we speak of removing negative energy, we are talking about replacing despair with hope. Hope is a stubborn light. It insists on shining even when clouds gather thick as old quilts. Negative energy tells us we are too small, too late, too tired, too ordinary. But the prayer inside your title speaks back firmly, not so. Removing negativity means refusing to believe the lies fear whispers into our ears. Our homes and hearts can grow tired of carrying such burdens. A room filled with complaint begins to feel like winter that will not end. Therefore, removing negative energy means changing the conversation beneath our roofs. It means choosing kinder words. It means allowing laughter to return the way a long-absent relative returns with open arms. Laughter is a mighty remover all by itself. The title suggests a holy partnership. We ask God to do the spiritual work while we commit ourselves to do the practical work. Removing negative energy may begin with prayer, but it continues with behavior. Straighten the rooms. Clear the clutter. Speak the forgiveness. Release the old grudges. These are the brooms and mops of the spirit. Too often we grow accustomed to negativity because it is familiar. Human beings can become comfortable even in uncomfortable places. We learn to live around tension the way a family lives around a leaky faucet, placing buckets beneath it instead of fixing the pipe. But removing negative energy is finally repairing the pipe. It is refusing to tiptoe around what troubles us. It is opening the door and telling darkness it must find another address. Negative energy also appears as memories that have overstayed their welcome. Old disappointments can haunt a house like stubborn ghosts. We remember who hurt us, who failed us, who did not keep their promises. And each time we repeat those stories, negative energy grows stronger. Removing negativity means laying those tales down and choosing to tell new stories instead. Stories of survival, of gratitude, of the many times God brought us safely through. This 8th day of January named in your title is a fine season for such removal. The beginning of a year is like receiving a new broom as a gift. It invites us to sweep out what gathered in the old months. Removing negative energy is choosing renewal over repetition. Negativity often feeds on comparison. We look at another person's house, another person's life, and imagine our own blessings insufficient. But a faithful soul understands that God has given each of us enough for our journey. Removing negative energy requires gratitude to stand guard at the doorway of envy. Thanksgiving pushes back every shadow jealousy tries to cast. Our homes ought to feel like gentle harbors. Yet many harbors grow crowded with storms we brought in ourselves. Removing negative energy means learning to leave troubles where they belong. Do not carry the quarrel from the office into the bedroom. Do not bring the stress of traffic to the dinner table. Removing negativity is emotional wisdom practiced faithfully. There is power in blessing one's home aloud. Walk through the room speaking peace. Light a candle with intention. Play music that lifts instead of lowers. Open the windows of the spirit and the windows of the house. These small ceremonies help remove negative energy as surely as sunshine removes dampness from a tired wall. Negative energy also wears the mask of self-criticism. We speak harshly to ourselves inside the very homes meant to comfort us. But removing negative energy means becoming kinder landlords to our own spirits. Treat yourself gently, the prayer suggests. You are doing the best you can, and with God's help you will do even better tomorrow. The title promises emotional balance. Removing negativity clears space for calm to sit down comfortably. Calm is a precious tenant. It cannot live where chaos has been allowed to rule. Therefore, removing negative energy means creating order so that calm may find a room prepared especially for it. Homes are renewed when the people inside them change their habits. Put away what no longer serves you. Repair what has been broken too long. Speak forgiveness to those who share the roof with you. These are the practical steps of removal. The prayer in your title asks for darkness to be replaced by protection, positivity, and peace. Negative energy cannot survive in the warm company of love. Love is the greatest remover of all. When a home becomes filled again with gentle intention, negativity grows shy and departs quietly. Removing negative energy is finally making the house and the heart places where joy feels safe enough to stay. So friends, and all who read these words, take courage from this 4th key point. Ask God for help. Then help God by changing your behavior. Sweep out bitterness. Rinse away resentment. Invite laughter and gratitude back into every room. Let Thursday be the day you begin the blessed work of removal. For when negative energy is driven out, what remains is light, and light has always been the truest definition of a renewed and peaceful home. May that holy removal bless your days ahead, from this January 8th onward, and make your life spacious enough for every good thing God intends for you. My dear friends, and all who stand with open hearts on the threshold of another turning year, we arrive now at the 5th wisdom living inside your chosen title, Timely Reflection, January 8th, Thursday. is more than a mark on the calendar. It is a gentle trumpet announcing opportunity. It calls us to pause in the hurried march of living, and remember that time itself is a gift handed faithfully from the generous palms of God. Reflection has always required a moment of stillness. The world encourages us to rush. Rush to earn, rush to speak, rush to judge, rush to fill our homes with things and our minds with noise. But the title you offered suggests a different rhythm. It invites intention. It asks us to stop early in the year and take honest inventory of how we have been living and what kind of atmosphere we have allowed to grow around us. Too often people wait for calamity before they reflect. They wait until relationships are frayed like old rope, until rooms feel uncomfortable as borrowed shoes, until negative energy has made itself bold and visible. Yet timely reflection means choosing to consider our lives before trouble forces the appointment. Thursday morning stands in your title like a wise counselor saying, "Come sit down and think a while." The start of a new year is the finest season for reflection. January arrives with cool air and clean possibilities. It is a month that feels like fresh linen taken from a hopeful clothesline. Timely reflection means asking ourselves serious and tender questions. Have we cared properly for our hearts? Have we treated our homes with respect? Have we spoken more complaint than gratitude? The title calls us to examine such matters on purpose. Reflection is spiritual discipline practiced gently. It allows us to look backward without bitterness and forward without fear. January 8th, Thursday, becomes a sacred checkpoint, reminding us that we do not have endless tomorrows to become the people we hope to be. Timely reflection insists that we begin now. Many homes carry the weight of unexamined living. Without reflection, we repeat the same habits year after year, wondering why peace feels shy in our presence. But a reflecting soul understands that change begins with awareness. The powerful prayer in your title asks God for cleansing, and timely reflection asks us to notice why cleansing was necessary in the first place. Thursday is a working day. That is part of the wisdom. Timely reflection is not only sitting quietly, it is preparing for better action. After we reflect, we know more clearly how to behave. We learn what to keep and what to release. Reflection is the wise broom used before the dust gathers thick again. The title suggests that removing negative energy must be done at the right time, and the right time is always the present. January 8th invites focused attention at the very beginning of the year's long journey. It encourages us to begin fresh and live more peacefully, instead of waiting for another season to correct what we could have examined today. Reflection also honors gratitude. When we pause to consider our blessings intentionally, we recognize how faithfully God has carried us. Timely reflection means thanking Him early and often. Thanksgiving turns ordinary houses into sanctuaries and ordinary days into celebrations. Our homes deserve timely reflection because they hold the shape of our lives. They reflect who we have been. Look at a person's living room and you can often read the story of their spirit. Therefore, timely reflection means making sure the story we tell in our homes is one of peace, order, and loving intention. Thursday morning in January is a fine time to look around and decide to begin again. Reflection invites renewal to stand up straighter. It reminds us that we are caretakers of sacred spaces and sacred days. The calendar note in your title calls us to remember that reflection should be intentional, regular, and timely. Without reflection, negative energy grows unnoticed. But when we pause to think and pray and examine our surroundings, we build stronger climates for living. January 8th, Thursday, becomes a lighthouse shining across the early waters of the year, guiding us safely toward calmer shores. Reflection requires honesty, and honesty invites God's help more fully. Timely reflection means choosing transformation instead of decoration, peace instead of clutter, gratitude instead of complaint. It reminds us that we deserve clean beginnings from the inside out. So friends, let this fifth key point remain close to your heart. Reflect while there is still time to change. Begin fresh on purpose. Pray powerfully and live intentionally. Let Thursday be the day you sweep out what does not belong and invite joy back to the table. For timely reflection is the wise companion of every powerful prayer, and together they create a life and a home filled with light enough to remove every form of negative energy. May that blessed pause guide your days ahead and make your new year peaceful, renewed, and strong.